Nobody wants to look like Mike Israetel. It's all about your proportions, and that's why I'm going to be ranking the most aesthetic muscle groups today. And the top 6 are not trained by the big 3, squat, bench, and deadlift. So right at the bottom of the list at number 9, we've got your quads and your hamstrings. Literally nobody cares about your quads and your hamstrings, except, I don't know, maybe other dudes. Like, oh, how big are your quads, bro? No one's ever asked that. No one cares about your lower body. Now, that doesn't mean that you should skip leg day, right? There's still a lot of value in training legs, even for your upper body, because what happens is when you train legs, you're putting kilos of muscle on your legs, right? Now, if you put, say, 5 kilos of muscle on your legs because you train them relentlessly over 2-3 years, and somebody else doesn't train their legs, you're going to be 80 kilos in lean, and they're going to be 80 kilos in pudgy and soft because they don't have that extra muscle mass. So at the same weight, they've got more fat, which means they've got to cut down further. So if you want to be leaner without having to cut down as far, that's where training your quads and your hamstrings comes in. Now, the next thing on the list is going to be your calves, right? So no one really cares about calves, but they are still much more important than your quads and your hamstrings. I know Afrikaans chicks care a lot about calves. I think that's because, in South Africa, there's a bunch of fat farmers and they're on a farm, so they're walking a lot and they're fat, so their calves get a bunch of exercise, and that's why they've got huge calves. So unless you're like in a niche group like that, no one really cares about your calves. Next thing, believe it or not, which is much more important than your calves, even for guys, is your glutes. Now you're gonna say, oh, that's gay, I don't want a big butt, oh, that's gay, bro. But the thing is, it's shaped differently, right? So like if you build your glutes as a guy, you're not gonna look like those Instagram thoughts with, it's an entirely different shape. And the big thing about training your glutes isn't necessarily the glute muscles themselves, right? So if you've got anterior pelvic tilt, that's kind of where your posture is all decrepit, right? It's because your glutes are weak. So your glutes are supposed to pull your back straight and then you're gonna stand straight up. But if your glutes are weak, you're gonna have this decrepit anterior pelvic tilt. You're gonna look all decrepit, but if you train your glutes, you're gonna stand straighter up. So your posture is gonna get better. And the ironic thing is when you train your glutes, they're actually gonna look less big because now they're correcting this posture. So although the glute muscle itself is getting bigger, since it's correcting the posture, it gets pulled in and then it doesn't look as big. So you just look way better overall. It changes how you walk when you train your glutes. So it's really, really important that you do that. Now, next on the list is gonna be abs. Now, take a look at this cut and try to guess which one was the first cut and which one was the second cut. Well, this was the first cut, this was the second cut. Why? Because I didn't train my abs here, right? I gained a bit of muscle, honestly, not nearly as much as I should have because I messed around with like, oh, I just want to be as skinny and aesthetic and I don't really want to build all that much mass. So that aside, I didn't train my abs there. And it shows, right? It's such a visual difference. So you have to train your abs if you want them to be aesthetic. It's not that abs are made in the kitchen. I'm literally leaner in this picture than I am in this picture. There's just softer lighting here. And I'm flexing my abs in this picture, but it just doesn't look that good. So abs are a very, very crucial part of the physique. If they're not well developed, you're gonna be leaner than ever and you're gonna look like crap. Now, if you want a full deep dive into everything you need to know about diet, training, nutrition, and everything else like that, link in description for my course. It's like 50 bucks at the moment. If you're watching this in the future, the price might have gone up, but right now it's 50 bucks. That's what people charge monthly. I charge that one time, you get lifetime access, so check it out. Now, the next thing you're gonna need is to train your upper chest. The difference between someone with a well-developed upper chest and someone that doesn't have a well-developed upper chest is insane. There's that famous picture of Andrew Tate where he's like standing doing the Tate pose, like, oh yeah, so I'm escaping the Matrix, right? But then he's just got like this overly developed lower pec, but then the upper chest is like so flat and it just looks like he's got a boob sitting there, right? Because he's always just trained flat bench and decline bench, never incline bench. So the trick is you always want to do incline bench. My bench is set up in the incline position almost permanently, right? Unless I'm doing like JM press or something. And that's quite simply because I've just stopped doing flat bench and decline bench. I don't recommend that you stop doing flat bench and decline bench. But for me, my lower pecs have always been more developed than my upper pecs, and it creates an imbalance. And yeah, I mean, I had like chunks of meat on my lower pecs, and then my ribs were still visible on the upper pecs. So I just decided, you know what, screw flat bench. My chest grows easily. When I add in flat bench again, everything's gonna blow up. So I've just been catching up the upper chest And it has made a pretty big difference. Now next is going to be the arms, right? I mean, this is a wide angle lens. My arms might not look that good at the moment, right? And it's soft lighting that I'm using. I've got a whole section on photography and the different angles and focal lengths and lenses and sensor sizes and ISO and whatever on how to take better pictures of your physique. Click the link in the description to see that. But in any case, as you can see here in a slightly better picture, right? My arms don't look like complete noodles. Now my thing is I've got a really long wingspan because I'm tall. So I got to put a lot more mass on my arms if I want them to look impressive, right? Like when I'm bulked, they're 16 inches, which is nice, right? Now this is going to be the second most felt muscle group, right? So generally when there's a hug or whatever, you know, sometimes there's a little bit of arm touching going on, which is fine, right? So it's the second most felt muscle group. I'll reveal the most touched muscle group in a second. But your arms are super, super, super important, right? Above everything else, you have to train your arms. If there was, I would go as far as to say if there was one thing I could train and nothing else, it would probably be arms. But that doesn't mean it's the most attractive or aesthetic muscle group. So now the most felt muscle group is going to be the lats. Because if you think about it, anytime someone hugs you, they're gonna be feeling your lats, right? And the more muscle you build on your lats, the more the hugs change, right? So if you're just like starting out or you're still kind of pudgy or you're bulked up, right? The hugs are gonna be tap, tap, let go, right? But if you're jacked, you build some muscle, maybe you get lean for the first time as well, right? So let's say you've got that first bulk and then you cut for the first time and now you've got like a density to your back that wasn't there before. Or if you're bulked and you've been training for a few years and now you've built some muscle there, the hugs are gonna change. It's not gonna be like a tap, tap, let go real quick, right? Like a touch and go. No, it literally changes. It's the weirdest thing. And each individual chick has got like plausible deniability because she could just say, oh no, you're imagining things. But when they all do it like clockwork, then you're like, okay, I know what's going on here. So the hugs literally change. It goes from like a tap and go to a slide, linger, squeeze, slide type of hug. And each individual chick's got plausible deniability. But when they all do it like clockwork, right? When you cut down that first time, boom, it starts happening. Then you bulk up again, it goes away. Then you build a bit of muscle, it starts happening again, right? Like it's the weirdest thing. Now, the second most attractive muscle group of all is going to be your shoulders. Your shoulders are what's going to give you that V taper, right? That aesthetic Dorito look, right? Like this is a bad focal length at a bad distance with soft lighting. So just don't judge me based on this, judge me based on this, right? Your shoulders are absolutely crucial. Now I know I said if I could only train one muscle group, it would be arms, but if you're actually just trying to look good, training your shoulders is really like, that's the 80-20 of your whole physique. That's the 20% of your physique, maybe even less than 20%, that's gonna be responsible for like 80% of how people perceive you, so you have to train your shoulders. And then last but certainly not least is going to be your forearms. So when your forearms are pumped, when they're vascular, when you got veins popping, which I don't have right now at all, okay? When you got the veins popping, when you're lean, when you've got a forearm pump, right? That is literally, to women, that's the male equivalent of cleavage, right? And I know it sounds cringe, but it's true, right? Like if you've never had like you're just sitting there with your forearm veins out across from a chick and you just catch her like right? She does like the cleavage dip where she's like oh yeah right? And she just glances down at the forearms, right? It's it's like, oh, that's what chicks feel like. So I would definitely say forearms are the highest leverage muscle group to train. You don't really have to train them in your first year because you're gonna put like 4 or 5 centimeters on your forearms if you're just training and you're not training them directly. But after a while, you start having to train them directly. And yeah, this is also gonna vary based on like how vascular you are that day, how many of your veins are out and everything. It's gonna vary a lot, but forearms are top tier, right? That is the highest leverage muscle group to train. Now, if you'll notice, all of the top six muscle groups, none of them are hit by the big three, which is squat, bench, and deadlift. Because, you know, you could say, oh, bench is going to train your shoulders. Like, not really. You got to add in some lateral raises, some overhead press, right? Oh, squats, they're going to train your legs. Yeah, but like quads are right at the bottom of the list. That's like number 8 on the list. So no one cares about your quads. No one cares about your hamstrings. Deadlifts, right? That's gonna train like your posterior chain, right? Like your hamstrings, your glutes a little bit, so that's good. But it's gonna train like your spinal erectors, and that's not aesthetic. Your lats are the aesthetic part. So you don't really get any aesthetic benefits from a deadlift. And the thing is with a flat bench, you're not training your upper chest. So all the top 6 muscle groups, which is gonna be forearms, shoulders, lats, arms, upper chest, and abs, none of them are going to be trained by the big 3. So that's why everybody that's like, oh, I just squat, bench, and deadlift. Oh, you should just squat, bench, and deadlift, bro. Like, you look like crap. No one cares, because like the most important muscle groups you're just like neglecting or barely touching at all. And that's how you end up looking like this. So if you want to build an aesthetic physique that's actually attractive, I made a whole full course, 35 videos, like 3.5 hours of content. Link in description. It's only $50 for a one-time fee. I'm going to be doubling the price soon, so check it out. But if you want to know exactly how long you should cut for and how you should structure your diet if you're trying to get lean, click here.